Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I make bookish videos over here on my little corner of the internet, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Today I have an unhaul for you. It is that time of year again. I try to do these quarterly unhauls where I go through my shelves and I really evaluate, do I really want to read these books? And sometimes the answer is no. It is getting harder to do. This is my smallest unhaul to date. I didn't count them, but with 250 plus unread physical books on my shelves and only a couple of months to hit my goal of 200, which is what my 2023 goal was, and it's not working well, I need to do some like serious evaluation, because if I think about it, like if I have over 200 books, that means if even I never bought another book, it would take me probably more than a year to read them. And we all know that I'm still gonna buy books, so I'd like to get it below 200 at least. So with that said, let's talk about these. I'm not gonna go over these in detail. If these are one of your favorite books, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad you loved it. Please don't try to save them in the comments. Some of these I have read, some of them I haven't. And then any of the finished copies that are in good condition, I'm gonna be putting them on Pango. If they are ARCs, I'm gonna be putting them. There's a new little free library right down the street from me that I found on my walk the other day. So I'm gonna go put them in there. So I have them broken up by genre. Let's start with historical fiction, and the reason for that is that I'm pretty much getting rid of all of my historical fiction. I have 2 maybe that I still want to read, and that's just because I've decided that historical fiction is not really a genre that I absolutely love and adore, or even enjoy. So I'm gonna be getting rid of most of them. We have The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. This is like a Greek mythology type story, and I was hoping it would be a little bit more fantasy based, but it's definitely historical, and I'm not gonna pick this up. I actually had the ability to pick it up a couple of months ago with a prompt, and I didn't. So that's how you know. I also have my coffee this morning. Maybe you should go get a drink. This might be a while. Okay, I have an ARC that I got, I think at BookCon back in 2019, so it's been a while, and I'm not gonna read this, and that's The Clergyman's Wife. It's like Pride and Prejudice, but from the lens of Charlotte Collins, which was like Lizzie's best friend. Sounded interesting. I like Pride and Prejudice, but again, I've had this on my shelf for 4 years at this point. I'm not gonna read it. You might hear my washing machine in the background. I have to do laundry, and it's being very loud today. Next up, Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. I think I bought this on Book of the Month because it was a cover buy. Like, it is gorgeous, and it's a great time period. Like, it's 1973 Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, right in the middle of the civil rights movement. But I'm not gonna pick it up, so I'd rather send it to somebody who will. And then also for the same reason, Women of Light. This is an indigenous historical fiction. Somebody else will enjoy this a lot more than it's sitting on the bottom shelf. Now let's talk about some thrillers and horrors. For some reason, I have some very old classic thrillers, not classic, but like modern classic thrillers, from like the height of airport thrillers. So, An Unwanted Guest by Shri Lapina. I've read a couple of Shri Lapina's books before, and they've just been fine. This would end up being a 3-star book, like, for sure. There are better thrillers on the market now, and I would rather spend my time reading those. And then for the same reason, The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. Also, I think this author is kind of problematic. So, like, why would I continue reading this? So it's gonna go. And then some horrors. I have read this one, The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay. I read this one over the summer and hated it. This was so bad. So we're gonna get rid of it. Someone else can love it. And then I haven't read these, but I've heard just some very mid things about them. So The Broken Girls by Simone St. James, I think is like a historical horror, and I've only tolerated the other books that I've read from Simone St. James, but it takes place in 1950 and 2014. And I feel like Simone's endings are just like meh. Again, it would be a 3-star book. And then White Horse by Eric T. Worth. I've heard a couple of good things about it, but mostly just very mid, and that it's not really horror spooky. It's more just like literary horror, which is not generally my cup of tea. And it's more just about this woman like discovering herself along with some like family drama and then a few spooky things. A couple of romances. All but one of these I have read, so that's good. I'm gonna be getting rid of Head Over Heels, not because I didn't like this, I actually love this book, but I found a paperback copy of it, and I like my romances in paperback, which you can't see them right now, but they're all, like, that's my one rainbow shelf is my romances, and that shelf is all paperback, so I'm just gonna get rid of this one. And then Dark Succession by Katie Robert. I gave this one like 2.5 stars, maybe 3, can't really remember. It's fine, right? This book is fine. But I don't think that I'm going to continue on with the series, although they are gorgeous covers. I think that this might just be a series that I don't read from her because I don't really like the mafia romance aspect of it. So we're just gonna get rid of this one. And then I read this one during Rom-Comathon and hated it. So Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams. This was like tried to be a hate to love and really, really did not succeed. So we're just gonna let someone else read it. I do have another one from her, How to Fail at Flirting, I believe, on my Kindle. And then I think I actually got an ARC. I think I got the email a couple days ago that I got the ARC of her newest one that comes out at the end of the year. And so I will read from her again, but that one just did not work. And then lastly, one that I haven't read, but like I tried to read it a couple of years ago and then just put it back on my shelf and never had the inclination to go back to it, and that is The Love Study by Chris Rippard. This is a queer romance. It's about a non-binary YouTuber that has like an advice show and then sends this other person off on a bunch of dates, but really this guy is falling for Sydney, who's the YouTuber. And so it's like fake dating, but then not. I don't know. I just remember being really bored through the first 20% of it. So I'm just gonna let it go. Okay, I have a couple of sci-fi and then we will move on to the fantasy. The first one is Warp by Lev Grossman. I made this a whole 15 pages. This was on my September TBR. I was trying to read it at the end of the month and the writing style was just not working for me. It's just like all dialogue, but then it's not telling you who is talking and there's multiple people in the room. It's bad. It's not good. It's not good. There's a reason it has a 2.5 on Goodreads, which is really hard to do if you're not an indie book that only has 5 ratings. It has over 1,000 ratings and it's a 2.5, so. Then we have a Beta by M.T. Zemi. This was a book that I read for SPFBO for the semifinalist, and I've decided I'm probably not going to be reading the rest of the series, so I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. I'm sure that somebody is going to very much enjoy it. I might actually give this one to my niece who likes sci-fi books and is like big into that, so I'll give this to her. And then Dry by Neil Shusterman. I read this one last year. I actually saved it from a do not like these books will self-destruct, and I'm not gonna reread it, right? Like it's been sitting on my shelf completely obstructed by my chair, so I can't even like see it. So we're just gonna let it go, let somebody else read it. Lastly, I have some fantasy. The first ones I have, a couple of them I have read, a couple of them I haven't. First up, Court of the Undying Seasons by A.M. Strickland. This book was fine. I had very, very high expectations for this and it kind of let me down. So yeah, it's a fine book. It's pretty. It's a gorgeous book. There's like vampires and like the back of it is really pretty, but I think that if this book would have had a sequel or even a prequel, I think if this book would have had a prequel, I think it would have been good, but the world building fell so flat, and I didn't care. And then I decided to get rid of the rest of my TJ Klune books. I already unhauled In the Lives of Puppets earlier, either this month or last month, because I hated that book. And it's making me not want to read Under the Whispering Door, so I'm just gonna put it away. Like, we're just not gonna read this. And then I'm also gonna unhaul House in the Cerulean Sea because I'm not gonna reread it. It's like it did what it needed to do in 2020, and I'm good with letting it go. And like I'm running out of shelf space on the shelf that particular one is on, so we're just gonna let it go. We have An Unintended Voyage by Marshall Ryan Maresca. I think this is like a sci-fi fantasy maybe, but it doesn't, I don't remember even picking this up. I don't know where I got it, and it doesn't have an audiobook anywhere. Like the audiobook does not exist, and I think it's actually like, it's like you can start this series here, but it's actually like the 13th book in a series. And then I'm gonna get rid of Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok Kate Banker. Margaret read this during Amazing Readathon and was like, this is fine. And this book is too big to be just fine. I know for a fact I'm not going to read this and it's taking up a lot of space. It's 700 pages. Like, no. And then I'm going to get rid of The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I've just decided I don't think I like her writing. I've tried a couple of her books before and just haven't really enjoyed them. I've either DNF'd them or they've just been very mid. And so this has been sitting here for a long time. I think I picked this up when it came out. And then I've heard terrible things about In a Garden Burning Gold by Rory Power. So, and it's also not a standalone. I saw the sequel in Barnes & Noble the other day and I was like, I don't know if I can commit myself to that. So I'm just not gonna read this. I think I have it on Kindle anyways. So if I find an audiobook for it, maybe I will read it. But I don't need this on my physical shelf. And then lastly, another book that I've had on my shelf for so long, and I think I picked it up because of a project and then I scrapped that project. So now it's just been sitting there, and that is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zordea Cordova. This is like a family, like a generational fantasy type thing, which does not sound that appealing. Okay, that was my pretty quick unhaul. I kind of sped through those. If you are in the US, these will be on Pango. I am filming this a little bit early, so they may not be there by the time this video comes out if they've already sold, so I apologize for that. But I'll have my Pango linked down below. And currently I am doing a 10% off if you spend $30. So, you know, if you want that. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there is a little button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!